Up until I went into the theater to get my ticket, I was convinced this movie was rated R. It just had to be. From the trailer down to the fact J.K. Simmons was in it. It just, I don't know how it's not. Someone is fucking with this timeline. Nothing in 2024 is real. Red One is the latest Christmas spirit movie that we get this year around that holiday season, released before Christmas has even happened and before Thanksgiving has happened, so there's not even dead turkeys yet. The movie is directed by the director who's done a lot of other projects with The Rock, such as Black Adam, and it stars Dwayne The Rock Johnson, Chris Evans, J.K. Simmons, and Lucy Liu. In here, Santa Claus is kidnapped, and his bodyguard seeks the help of a man who's very apt to help rescue him, but soon along the way they encounter the dangerous secrets and myths that are in the Arctic Circle. I don't really think anybody saw the trailer for this movie and thought this was going to be a great film. This movie is so unbelievably brain dead bad. It is a concept that already is alright if done right, but like the if done right is totally removed, so it just becomes the worst case scenario. There are positives to this film. For one, I think that for the most part, the movie is pretty good at being creative. The movie does things with the mythological things we have around Christmas and creatures and characters and takes it and spins it in a cool way. There is some cool lore in here. The world building is actually really good. That I liked. And there are some elements and some sequences with certain characters that they decide to spin in a new way that were cool to look at and I liked and were intriguing and were fun and were entertaining in a way of actually being creative. Also, Chris Evans in here is by far the most charming character. He, as far as I'm concerned, really keeps the film going because even though what he's actually saying and doing isn't really affecting the plot, his presence, charisma, and that movie star-esque appeal that he has is the reason that this movie is watchable all the way through. He keeps the movie going, he's the energy, he's us, and he does it so very well. Another thing this movie I think does that's kind of fun is it does somehow manage to have some pretty funny moments. There are moments in here where I actually genuinely laughed, and I had fun with it, and I thought it was cool, and there were a couple things that I was excited to see happen, and were some exciting payoffs that for the most part worked for me, and I found myself enjoying a little bit, and thinking, wow, that's a good idea. And then there was the rest of the movie. Number one, the fact that this movie cost as much as it did, which I believe was somewhere around $200 to $300 million, is literally a crime against the universe. This is not what Jesus Christ died on the cross for. This is not why movies should cost this much money. It's just insane. A large part of that I know went to The Rock, who is The Rock in here again, who also, by the way, expressed his opinion that Oppenheimer, he saw that movie and was like, watching this in IMAX, this is what Red One needs. I have news for you. Literally, Mr. Johnson, no one gave a flying fuck through the rolling end of a hole of a donut that this movie was filmed in IMAX. It looks like computer-generated noise and muck schmuck gook the majority of the time. Nothing I believe in here is primarily real, and so much the action is artificial that I don't even get excited by that. A lot of the movie is also just The Rock saying something like, we're gonna do this, and Chris Evans is like, we're gonna do what? That's crazy. And then The Rock's like, we're gonna do it anyway. They do it, and then Chris Evans is like, oh my god! Like 40 times over, that's just what happened. The movie's also just like, curiously unsure of what the f*** it is, because there's like so much of it where it wants to be a comedy, and then it's done with that, and it wants to be a family movie, but it wants to be a raunchy film, so let's get that F word in here. But then it changes its mind again, and thinks it could be kind of a little bit of an action movie. But the problem is all those things it wants to be, it sucks at, so it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of anything. It's just not worth it. Also, it doesn't feel very Christmassy because a lot of the locations, it kind of just feels a little bit like something you'd see in the CW at times, in the worst possible way. I could not, for the life of me, enjoy most of this film. This film was a mess. The story's a mess, the action is a mess, the comedy barely landed. I hardly laughed in this movie at all. It also just looks terrible. Everything about it is generic, artificial plastic. It just feels like plastic. That's the best way I can describe it. Just cheap, widely mass-produced garbage. That's all this felt like. I can't remember much about the movie. I had to take notes for the review more than usual because I wasn't really invested, and it was so hard to care about anything. The movie's plot also just kind of begins to lose pace, and it just goes off into 4 different things kind of along the way because it's trying to come up with contrivances to do random set pieces that they wanted. And at no point is there ever any tension or concern. It's just so predictable and boring and dumb and just Hollywood generated crap. I hate this movie. I don't like it for the life of me. It's one of the worst films I got to experience in the theater all year. Don't waste your money. Don't waste your time. Even when this comes to streaming, live your life. The time you spend on this is time that you could spend doing literally anything else, beneficial or non-beneficial. Don't do this movie. It's not worth it. It's bad. It's just Hollywood trying to get a buck, and it does it in a terrible way. I'm going to give Red 1 a 2 out of 10. So thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you, and I will see you all next time.